If you've seen the results from this year's World Press Freedom Index, which follows the state of journalism in 180 countries, you already know that media polarization is on the rise. And that's hardly likely to slow down anytime soon, as the lack of regulation in the global online space allows and practically encourages propaganda and fake news to run riot. So, just how do reliable media outlets regain trust in this new era of polarization? Here to give us his take is the head of Reporters Without Borders, the organization behind the Press Freedom Index, who also happens to be president of the Forum on Information and Democracy. Welcome, Christophe Deloire.
There are probably two major threats for humanity. The first one is, of course, climate change. And the second one is about artificial intelligence, about how we can, and we do lose control of new technologies. It's about the information chaos, about the fact that guarantees, safeguards, which were established in the history regarding freedom of opinion and expression, regarding trustworthiness of news and information, are like swept away. This is a huge challenge for humanity, which we have to address. The symptoms of this information chaos are really well known. Hate speech, propaganda, sponsored contents, rumors, a potential for manipulation. These are the symptoms. But there are the causes, and we have to address the causes. The causes is that democratic institutions did impose safeguards for the right to information. Those safeguards were also established by self-regulation, especially journalistic self-regulation, with the development of ethics, of the journalistic methodology too. We have to rebuild it in a world where there are two aspects. First, different types of content are in direct competition. This is an unfair competition today between sponsored contents, rumors, and quality journalism. And those types of contents, I mean, sponsored contents or rumors, have a sort of competitive advantage. And we have to reverse this logic and give again a competitive advantage to journalism. And also in a globalized and digitalized information and communication space, there is also a floor for just control of the news and information by private interests. Private companies impose their norms. Citizens should do this. So how should we proceed? We have to work at three levels. The first level is the level of journalists. Journalists have simply to be free, to be alive, to be out of jail, not to be intimidated if we want them to really exercise their social function. And we have to continue to defend them. Right now, there are more than 400 journalists in jail just because they exercise their jobs. Every year, close to 100 journalists are killed in the course of their jobs. The development of harassment, the development of intimidations is really worrying, and this is clearly a level where we have to continue to work. The second level is the level of media outlets. We have clearly to defend editorial independence, to find ways so that media that provide us with quality information, I mean independent information, information which is produced according to some rules, with respecting ethics, implementing journalistic methodology, those media outlets, they have to be favored. And that's why Reporters Without Borders, RSF, launched the Journalism Trust Initiative, which is based on a standardization process, a self-regulatory one, on certification of media outlets just based on their processes, not the content themselves. And then we are currently creating incentives for all the media outlets that clearly comply with journalistic standards. And we have also to work at the third level, which is the level of the organization, the architecture of the information and communication space itself. We have to gather countries which are ready to impose democratic safeguards. Of course, non-discretionary safeguards. And that's what we did with the Partnership on Information Democracy. We have already 45 governments who signed this partnership, which was inspired by a commission we created, a civil society commission, which drafted the declaration. It then became an intergovernmental partnership. Then we created a civil society-led implementation body, the Forum on Information Democracy, and we will create soon the equivalent of the IPCC, what IPCC is for climate change, but for the information chaos, the Observatory on Information and Democracy. And we have annual summits on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly, the summits on information democracy, the equivalent of the conferences of parties for the climate change. So we have now a process. We have clearly systemic tools. They are initiated by the civil society, but we have to implement it. And to implement it, we need the support, we need the efforts of governments. Of governments who really take into consideration the freedom of opinion and expression. As the philosopher Hannah Arendt said, freedom of opinion is a farce unless the public debate is based on facts. And facts are the basis of the debate. This is what we have to work on. All types of stakeholders have to work on it. It includes governments, but it also includes, of course, companies, technological companies, advertisers, philanthropists, etc. If you want to join this effort, please join our initiatives.